The kids were spending the weekend with their grandparents, so I decided it was perfect time to fill our freezer. But instead of making the same old taco casseroles and spaghetti everyone already knows, I challenged myself to make freezer meals from 4 different countries. I made berry-filled dumplings, buttery stuffed flatbread, crispy meat-filled pastries, and a creamy no-machine ice cream with one secret ingredient. 2 of those dishes are now permanently in our family rotation, but one, my kids begged me to never make it again, and I completely disagree. Our first dish comes from Ukraine, and we will be making vareniki, which is dumplings that are filled with berries. Salt and melted butter dissolve into the hot water before it's poured into the flour. 1 egg yolk goes in next, and everything is mixed until a smooth, soft dough forms. Once it no longer sticks to your fingers, it's ready. A quick 30-minute rest lets the dough relax, making it softer, easier to roll, and much easier to work with. While the dough is resting, let me share with you some fun facts about vareniki. For centuries, vareniki have been one of Ukraine's most treasured dishes. They're often made together as a family, with each dumpling carefully filled and folded by hand. Every region has its own favorite filling, making vareniki a delicious part of Ukrainian cultural heritage. After the dough has rested, it was time to get back to work. The dough gets rolled out nice and thin before cutting out circles with a dumpling press like I used, or you can actually use just the rim of a drinking glass. Traditionally, the dough circle is placed inside the mold. You fill with a few cherries or blueberries and sprinkle with a little bit of sugar on top. Then you press it and close it really tight. Well, mine weren't working very well. Mine kept on leaving the opening along the edges, so I ended up having to then manually pinch them down, and so I decided it would be just easier for me to switch the seal by hand instead. So I ended up pressing the edges together really well, and that's to make sure that the juices from fruit stay inside while they cook. And to finish, I give the edge one final decorative crumb by pinching and folding it forward all the way around. I ended up making 2 pans. I placed them in the freezer for about 2 to 3 hours until my dumplings completely frozen. Once the water starts boiling in a pot, you want to cook vareniki in batches. Once they float on top, let them simmer for about 3 to 5 minutes before removing them with a spoon. Let's try them. I brought a fork just in case, but I believe the easiest way, once you let them cool a little bit, is just to pick it up and eat them. So I'm not sure. I think this may be cherry first, so let's try. This is cherry. It is so juicy. There's a pocket of juice inside the dumpling, so we're gonna drink the rest of it. The dough is pillowy soft. The juices and the berries inside just burst in your mouth as you take a bite. And I really don't know the best way to describe those dumplings other than it tastes like you eating a pie inside a dumpling. Let's see if I can find a blueberry. I think this one is a blueberry. My kids would be so disappointed that they're not here. Our next destination is India for the most delicious samosas. To make samosas a little practical, I'm using ready-to-cook tortillas instead of making the dough from scratch. I also cooked the ground beef and boiled the potatoes the day before so the filling comes together quickly. The onions cook until they're soft and lightly caramelized, then garlic, the beef, potatoes, peas, and carrots all get mixed in together with the spices that give samosas their signature flavor. We have spices like ground cumin, coriander, garam masala, turmeric, chili powder, and just a touch of cognac come together to create the warm, fragrant flavor that makes samosas so unforgettable. It is so fragrant in here. I cannot help myself but sneak a little bite before filling samosas to see what it tastes like. This is absolutely amazing. This is what I would describe would be your comfort food. It gives this warmth. It's all the flavors of all the spices come together. It's almost like you have firework of flavors just explode with every bite. Surprisingly, samosas didn't originate in India. Historians believe they first appeared in Persia and Central Asia, where travelers carried those portable pastries along ancient trade routes. When they reached India, local cooks transformed them with fragrant spices, creating the beloved samosas enjoyed around the world today. To make our own samosas, I'm starting with a simple flour and water paste. It works like edible glue. It helps seal the edges and so the filling stays tucked inside. I found these raw tortilla shells at a local Hispanic grocery store, and they make this recipe so much faster. After cutting each one in half, I rolled it into a cone, sealed each side with a simple flour and water paste, and filled it with a spiced meat mixture. And then I added a little bit more paste along the top before pressing the edges together really well. I did have a hard time pinching it at first, and then I realized that I have to do it several times. So I would pinch it really hard and then go back over again and pinch more. As I worked to fill samosas, it smelled absolutely incredible. And I couldn't wait to find out if this crispy little pockets are going to live up to my expectations. Unlike the Ukrainian Vareniki, those do not need to be frozen first. That means that I could fry a few right away for the taste test. You want to heat up oil to about 350 and fry samosas in batches until they're golden brown. You want to take a bite and then a second one, because there is something about this filling. Because of all the spices, it has this kind of warmth and it makes it feel familiar. Yet at the same time, all these spices blended together have their own personality. And so the outside of the samosa is very crunchy and the inside is very juicy. And it's one of those things where you take a bite, 2, and then 3 and 4, and then before you realize the whole samosa is gone. The best freezer meal you can stock your freezer with. 10/10 recommend. The next recipe is Turkish recipe, and it's called Alright, so I think it says gözleme or gözleme. It starts with a G and it sounded like gözleme. The beauty of this recipe, it's very budget friendly. The dough itself only has 3 ingredients: flour, water, and salt. We're kind of going to repeat the same steps as we did in making the dough in the previous 2 recipes. Mix wet ingredients with dry ingredients until everything comes together and dough is formed, and then we're gonna cover it and let it rest for about 30 minutes. While the dough is resting, let's make the filling. I mixed ground beef with onions, spices, and red bell peppers. Quick spoiler alert, this ended up being the one dish my kids asked me not to make again, but not for the reason you'd think. When my kids returned from grandparents and I cooked this dish, they said that they loved everything about it except the red peppers. It has pretty bold flavor, so if your family isn't a fan of peppers, definitely leave them out. Gözleme has been enjoyed in Turkey for centuries. It began as a simple meal made by villagers and shepherds who filled thin homemade dough with whatever they had on hand before cooking it over a hot flat griddle. Today, you'll still find it being made fresh by hand in markets and small cafes all across Turkey. To make our own gözleme at home, we're going to pinch a little bit of dough, roll it out pretty thin. Now, I'm not very good of making round dough circles, so instead, I roll it out pretty thin and then I use a bowl to trace around to ensure that my circles are perfect. Another reason this recipe is budget friendly is that it does not use a lot of meat. Add a thin layer of filling to 1/2 of the dough. Fold it over and pinch the edges tightly so nothing escapes. I was honestly shocked that these cook on a completely dry pan, no oil, no butter at all, but somehow they still turn out perfectly golden and delicious. Once I removed gözleme from the pan, the actual flatbread was a little bit hard, but as soon as you add butter to the top and bottom of gözleme, it turns into the most delicious flatbread you'll ever have. Take 2. I think if I'm pronouncing it right, it should be called gözleme. Gözleme. I think something like that. Let's try it. I was a little bit nervous at first when I had to cook them without oil or butter, but they come out a little bit hard, but as soon as you put butter in, they're soft and pliable and tore apart quite well. So now let's taste it. I would feel like this would be a comfort food in Turkey and maybe even street food. This is something I would probably buy from a vendor cooking it on the side of the road. This is so incredibly good.
You can taste a little bit of pepper, red pepper that I added, but the blend with onion gives this flavorful, it also moist. All other spices blend well together, creating this, I don't know, the best way I can describe it is comfort food. This is amazing.
And of course, I had to add dessert to our freezer meals, and Mexican strawberry paleta sounded like a great choice. If you have ever made homemade ice cream before, you know that sometimes ice cream can get crystallized and you get ice instead of ice cream. Well, this Mexican paleta recipe promises that if we add cornstarch to our mixture, that our strawberry ice cream will not get crystallized during the freezing process. To keep the mixture smooth and prevent the cornstarch from clumping, combine the sour cream, heavy whipping cream, and sweetened condensed milk and a little pinch of salt in a saucepan. Warm everything over low heat and make sure that you stir consistently. Don't let it come to a boil. Meanwhile, whisk the cornstarch with about 1/4 cup of a warm cream mixture in a separate bowl until completely smooth, and then slowly pour the cornstarch slurry back into the saucepan while whisking continuously. You want to keep on stirring over low heat until the mixture thickens into a silky custard. You want to remove the mixture from the heat and let it cool completely before folding it in the blended strawberries. This gives you a smooth, creamy base without any lumps. I let the ice cream freeze overnight and it was ready to be enjoyed the next day. Fun fact, long before grocery store ice cream filled freezers, people in Mexico cooled off with handcraft paletas made from real fruit. Unlike many frozen treats, traditional paletas often contain chunks of fresh fruit, making every bite taste like summer. Today you'll find hundreds of flavors sold from neighborhood colorful street carts across Mexico.
Moment of truth. Oh, this is great. So the ice cream part is very creamy. There is no crystallization. It's very smooth. I feel a little bit of tang from sour cream, so it balances the sweetness of condensed milk. Great. The only thing that I would do a little differently next time is I would puree all the strawberries together instead of adding chunks back into the mixture, because I do feel that they have turned into ice. And so in my preference, I would prefer my ice cream to be smooth all the way without chunks of strawberry. Otherwise, 10/10 recommend. Great freezer meal, especially like this week when we have 100-degree outside weather.
Our freezer is full and our passport has plenty of empty pages left. Let me know in the comments which countries should we visit next, and I will see you next week.